forgive me for the rambling nature of this video. I found it difficult as I started recording that, like, I wrote a script, and once I started talking to you, that I found my script to not be applicable as much, because, like, it was a more critical review of this product, but, like, after spending time with it, and if I'm being honest with myself, it's really difficult to fault this product in any way given its price tag. And a lot of the times when I do product reviews is like, there is the looming price tag of whatever this hi-fi product is. And you normally factor in the demographic that's buying the product, of just like, okay, this is maybe for the more affluent customer or something, and then you review it based on that. But when the product is fairly inexpensive, but it is very feature rich, and it does most of the things well, it just, like, maybe isn't on the upper echelon of sound or audiophile sound quality, that, like, all of a sudden it's a bit of a different conversation. It's not really like a hi-fi, like, music first, signal purity sort of conversation. It's more like, hey, does this thing actually work, and is it worth getting? And I think that when you're looking at a lower price point, like, it appeals to a wider swath of people, like a wider range and larger demographic of people. And I could be mistaken, but I feel like the questions that you'd be asking yourself when you're spending your money, hard-earned money, on a product is like, does it work? Is it worth it? And across the board, in my short time of owning this product, it ticks all of the boxes. It does everything I need it to do, and it does it pretty well. Arylic reached out to me, like I assume they do to most people, of like, hey, we like your channel, can you review our product? We'll send you one for free. What do you think? And I'm like, yeah, I'll definitely do it. Like, it's a small, cheap amplifier that'll most likely go to one of my kids as one of their first amplifiers. And, like, it's hard to do a review on this product when so many exist already that, like, if you're just looking for confirmation bias of like, hey, should I make this purchase? Here is that confirmation bias. Go and buy it. It's super cheap. It's got Bluetooth. It's got a DAC. It's got a phono input. It's got a sub out. It's got tone controls. It comes with an app. And when you get the app connected, Took me a few tries, but when I did finally get it connected, it makes so much more sense. Like, it has the basic, where's the remote here? This is it. I actually have the streamer too, and like they look pretty much similar, so I have to actually look at the button layout, and they're different, and that's how I know which one is which. That's neither here nor there, but like it's got bass and treble, and it's got like a flat button where you can just like EQ it down to being flat again. But then on the app, there's also a mid slider, which I found to be super important because like I found that this product just needed a little more mid-range and like just to make it sound a bit more full. But like that'll get to that in the sound section. But like if there is even a sound section on this one may be really short. But like honestly, like if you're on a budget and you just need like a product that just does everything, like $139 US is not a lot to ask for essentially a device that has everything you need on it. When I think about all the music that I fell in love with back in the day, whether it was like 80s new wave or hip hop or house or techno or jungle or just whatever, I did all of that listening on what would be considered crappy stereos. They were all bad. Like I had a cheap Walkman that was a hand-me-down. I listened to music on my father's like Panasonic all-in-one turntable with a cassette in the top. The speakers were mounted next to the ceiling. They weren't good setups. And then we would buy like dual cassette deck stereos, or my family would, and that would be like the one that would be in the kitchen. My mom would listen to AM radio, and then when I could sneak in there and just put some music on, I would. And that was how I fell in love with music, on cheap gear. And when I get a product like this in, it sort of takes me back to that, where like it doesn't really matter what you're listening on as long as it's playing music. And if the music's got a vibe or a feeling that you like, and you can easily fall in love with it. And that I'm really happy that products like this exist, because it lowers the barrier to entry. Like you can buy a product, like you could buy this Arylic amp or the Fosse that I reviewed not too long ago, and you can just fall in love with music. And these products make it easy for you to just connect things and get up and running. But the Arylic one, the B50, makes it really, really easy. Design-wise, it's a black box with two antennas. It looks like every other budget cheapo amp, and I'm not really a fan. I think that would be the other downside. It's ugly. I don't like looking at it. I like the way the Fosse looks more than this one. Like the Fosse is like, I mean, look at this thing. Pull this up. It's a gray little box with an ugly logo, but nice little metal buttons. It just feels nice. It's a nice little product. The Arylic is just all black with two antennas. It looks like the company that sent me like that Bluetooth wireless receiver thingy. I forgot the name of the company. Blafilly. They sent me one of those, and like it looks just like that. Arylic does have better looking like components on their website. I wish this also followed suit, but I guess, you know, budget constraints and everything. It's, again, it's so hard to complain about things, but when this does things that like I wished other amplifiers did, like HDMI ARC. Like I wish my Cambridge amps had that. I wish all the amps had that, to be honest. Tone controls, phono inputs, like this has everything in it. And if you're wondering about the phono stage, it works. If you're gonna buy this and then connect a turntable to it, I'm assuming you're gonna be connecting a budget turntable to it, so then who cares at that point? As long as it works, it works. You know, like just play your favorite vinyl, enjoy your music. The HDMI ARC for me, work flawlessly. Actually, I switched from the Ambio Max soundbar from Sennheiser to the Arylic B50, and I didn't change any of my settings in my Apple TV. I didn't change it to stereo. I just left it in, I guess, the automatic, which I guess is default Dolby Atmos. And I had the Apple TV connected to my Samsung TV out to the Arylic, and the audio worked fine. And I was able to connect everything with my Apple TV, like control everything with my Apple TV remote, like the volume, everything. It was great. It's a great one remote solution, especially when my kids are over and they just lose all the remotes anyway and have to dig under the couch or behind pillows for remotes. Now it's just like one remote, super easy fix, and yeah, it's great. Bluetooth connected no problem. I found connecting to the app a little bit tricky. It took me all of 5 minutes. It just took me a few attempts, and then once I got connected to the app, it does make you sign in, which is kind of a bummer. I just wish you wouldn't have to sign in, or maybe they just scanned me into signing in, but I signed in. I don't see what the benefit of signing in is unless that's the only way you can connect to the app, but I got connected to the app, and the app is really basic. It works nicely. It is like, it's called the, hang on, it's called the Go Control app, which is cool, but like the streamer, the S10 streamer that Arylic also sent, uses an app called the Force Stream app. And I don't know why they're different. Like, can't they just all be the same app? I think that would be my only gripe. But like, really, have an extra app or two on your phone, just not a big deal. But the app itself, you can select, oh, I'm not connected. I don't have it turned on. Hang on, let me just turn this thing on so I can tell you. There we go. It's this one. Again, I can't tell which remote is which. Okay, connected. And then, hear that sound? I'm connected. Now, Bluetooth, I'm connected. There's actually two Bluetooths in this thing. There's the Bluetooth for audio, and then there's the Bluetooth for the app. And sometimes it takes a while to connect. Currently searching for device. All right, I'm connected. Select device, B50. Again, took a couple minutes. But once you're in, I don't know if you can see that, or maybe I'll have to just B-roll the crap out of this one, but like, does that work? There you go. That's what the app looks like. It's pretty decent. You can scroll, there you scroll up. There's your bass and treble signal. That's how I have mine set. And then on it, you can also do an EQ, and you can set a custom EQ if you want to do. I didn't just yet. I'll play around with that probably later, or when my kids fudge around with it. But I found my custom EQ settings to be pretty good. And then, yeah, you can select your sources. I do find that when I adjust the bass and treble on the remote, there's no like back to flat unless you just push the flat button, I guess. But then it resets everything. There's no way to tell if it's like one above or below. But when you're on the app, you can easily see. And when you do make an adjustment, it's by like 1 dB increments. It's really noticeable. And I like that. Like, it's not like just incremental change. It's like, did it change something? It's like, no, you can hear the change. And it's an audible, nice change. And then, yeah, that's the app. So over the course of the last couple of days, I've gotten to pair this amp with a few different speakers. Now, all of the speakers that I have in-house are more expensive than this amplifier. It's just, I don't have anything in the range of like $100 or so to pair with this. So I use the Acoustics 3020Is, the B&W 606 S3s, and the Acoustics 5010, the one you see right there behind me. And all of these speakers outpriced this amplifier by a wide enough margin. And I assume that most people that would buy this amp would pair it with a speaker that is closer to price than any of the speakers I tested it with. But I can say that after I discovered the app and the ability to adjust all the sound settings to my liking, that all of these speakers sounded good with this amplifier. If you were looking to just get the best speaker for your money and then just kind of go cheap on the amplifier, this is a way that you can do that. I don't think most people on forums or online will recommend that you pair a budget amplifier with expensive speakers, but you can. I did, and I loved it. Now the 5010, since it is the smallest of the Acoustics bookshelf speaker lines, it's like a 4.5-inch driver with a tweeter, but the cabinet construction is immaculate. The new drivers that they implement are amazing, and this speaker sounded huge with this amplifier. And yes, if you do scale up your amplifier, eventually you'll get more out of the speaker. But like, if this was the only amp that you had or you could afford and you paired it with this, you'd be treated to great sound. Like, it sounds really good. And again, after I discovered the sound settings in the app, like, I tailored the sound to my liking, especially just plumping up that mid-range a little bit to get rid of like what I can only describe as like a slightly hollow sound when this amp is just set to flat. Like, I boosted my bass a little bit, my treble up by 1. I think the mid was up by like 2 dB. There's also like a tab for like sound profiles, and like there's like flat, rock, pop, and whatever. I found the rock one to just kind of boost everything, though I couldn't see what it was doing in the app. Like, there's like EQ sliders, and when you click just like the rock one, like, it just doesn't do anything. It doesn't visually show you anything. The sound does change, but I'm not sure exactly what the EQ is. But it just sounds like fuller, and it looks as though the bass, treble, and mid sliders also take effect on top of that sound preset. Just augmenting them on the fly seemed to make a difference with the rock profile engaged. But like, I just found that to work really well in my space. And with inclusion of my B&W 610 sub with a pair of bookshelf speakers, any of the three that I mentioned, this rounds out to be a phenomenal system. I see this as a perfect solution for a large swath of the population, like whether you want a great 2-channel music setup, or you want it to double as your TV and movie watching setup, you want a 2-speaker setup over like a soundbar or a sound bass or something. Like, this is a great product for a lot of people. I can see myself gifting this to my kids when they're at mom's house, and they can plug in whatever pair of speakers I give them, and they can just go to town with this. I have to figure out what to give them to connect to this as a source, because I try to get them to not use a phone or a tablet. Like, do I get them a CD player? Like, I don't know. I think they're going to destroy that. Maybe a turntable, they'll probably destroy that. I got to figure out something. Maybe it's like a tiny MP3 Walkman that I can load their music onto, and then they listen via that. And then if I can get them to connect this to a TV, then like, there's everything I need right there. Like, my daughter knows how to use the Apple TV remote perfectly, probably better than I do. And yeah, this is a good solution. Really, really good. So like, should you buy this? If you're looking for confirmation bias, yeah, go buy it. It's friggin' great.